Hello, I'm Dale and welcome to my backyard. I'm going to help you set up your sand filter for your Intex above ground pool. I've got some great tips or tricks to make it easier for you. Let's get started. I'm going to go through all the parts and pieces to show you how everything is set up. The only tools you're going to need are a Phillips screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver. First, we're going to set up the two little screens. These are the inlet to the pump and filter from the pool. These just screw on, and then there's two little screws that attach on the side. Now my pool has two inlet ports. These are inlet to the pump and filter or outlet from the pool. Now because my pool is partially filled, I actually have little plugs in place, so I can't pull those plugs out and put this screen in place yet. This goes from the inside because water will just come gushing out, so I need to hook up the tubing on the outside first. If you don't have water in your pool yet, you can go ahead and put these screens in place right into these ports. Next, I'm going to hook up the tubing. I'm going to take these two smaller pieces of tubing and attach each one to the port on the pool using a hose clamp. I'm not going to tighten this down real tight yet because I need to put the screen on the inside before I tighten it. Next, I'm going to take this T-bracket and I'm going to attach those two inlet hoses, one to each side, making sure that these O-rings are in place, and put a hose clamp on. All right, this T-hose connector is securely in place. The hose clamps are tight. This actually has a shutoff valve on it, so we're going to make sure that this is closed. So now I can remove the little plugs that I have on the inside and put my filter screen in, and then tighten down these hose clamps. And I found it easiest to get this screen flush up against the sidewall of the pool. I actually have to back the hose off a little bit, push the screen in place, and then tighten the hose back up on it. And one thing that I do appreciate about this Intex sand pump and filter is it comes with metal hose clamps. A lot of others come with plastic hose clamps that only last a couple years. These metal ones will last much longer. I do highly recommend a sand filter over the cartridge filter. The sand filters are much easier to maintain. The cartridge filters can get very expensive if you're replacing cartridges pretty frequently. The sand filter, you just have to backwash it to clean it. Much more effective. I'll be sure to include an Amazon link in the video description below where you can order yourself a sand filter for your above ground pool. Now that those hoses are secure, we're going to go from this valve to the inlet on our pump. There should be a little O-ring in place already here. Make sure it's there. Then we're going to take this little screen and just screw it on. Then we'll take the shorter of the two large hoses and attach one end to our valve there and the other end to the pump. Now let's set up the return, which goes back to our pool, or this is the outlet from the pump and filter. So we're going to disassemble this unit, take this piece off, this little collar comes off, and then this will go on the inside of the pool, and then this snugs up against it, making sure that this little O-ring is on the inside of the pool. Don't lose any of your other gaskets. When you put this return port in place, make sure that this little hole is towards the top so you can put this little air valve in. Next, I'm going to attach the pieces I took off. Be sure to get this O-ring back in place. And this valve just screws on. Next, let's set up the sand filter by setting it on the base. Next, we'll take the tube that goes inside of the sand filter. Notice that there's a minimum and maximum mark on here. That is the level of sand we're going to add. We're going to attach the screen onto the bottom here, and this assembly just sets down inside of the filter. Next, we're going to be adding our sand to the filter. You can't use just any sand. You need to use sand designed for pool filters. The best place to get it is at your local pool store. You can order it on Amazon, but it's heavy, it's expensive to ship, so I recommend just getting it at a local pool supply store. We're going to pour a couple inches into our filter and make sure the screen is sitting flat on the bottom and your center tube is straight up and down. Put a cup over the top of the center tube because you don't want to get sand inside of that. Now we're going to pour a couple inches of sand in. Once you have a few inches of sand in, add some water. This will help kind of distribute the sand around that screen on the bottom, just so the weight of the sand doesn't hurt anything. Now we can continue filling it up the rest of the way so that the sand is level with that minimum maximum mark, right in between those two layers. Now I'm going to loosen this ring that goes around the top to secure it with, and we'll take it off. Make sure that this gasket on top is in place and clean, that there's no sand on it, because that'll create leaks. Then we can place the top to the filter on, make sure that the in port is facing the pump and that it fits over that center tube nicely. and we can secure it with the ring that we took off. Make sure that you've got one of those rubber gaskets on the in port to the filter and the out port from the pump. Then we're going to take this smallest tube and attach the two together. Now from the out port on your filter, be sure we get one of these rubber gaskets in place. And then we're going to take the longest tube from the out port on the filter over to the return to our pool. Now the only leftover parts we have is this little piece here, and this attaches to a hose to drain your pool. It'll plug into a hose and then go into the bottom of your pool and let it drain. And then we got these two plugs, which I used on the outlet ports on the pool. Now there's a few more essential steps to complete your setup, so let's finish it up. First, be sure you open up both valves. This will allow water to start to flow through your system. You can't run it with these valves closed. And as I open those up, you can actually hear a little bit of water coming through it. I'm going to open this little purge valve right here to let a little bit of air out. My drain valve there is not tight, so I'm going to tighten that up and make sure the drain valve on the bottom of the filter is tight. So as I briefly mentioned, this is a purge valve to get air out. So you want to just kind of open it up, let a little bit of water dribble out, get all the air out that you can, and then we can go ahead and tighten this up and then get ready to back prime. Now, even though we added fresh, clean sand to this filter, we have to backwash it before the first time we use it. You'll be surprised at how dirty this sand actually is. We gotta get all those little fine particles out. So first, let's remove the drain cover. And I like to take this rubber gasket with me because it'll just kind of blow off there. Then we're gonna move this over to backwash. Then I'll hit the power button. You can see a 3 there, that's set for 3 hours already. If I hit the unlock button, it'll flash, and then you can set the hours. But I'm gonna let this run on backwash just for like a minute to clean out all that sand. Once it's done backwashing, I'm gonna turn the power off, then switch it over to rinse. And the rinsing just kind of helps settle the sand after you backwashed it. We're gonna turn it back on, run it for another minute to help settle that sand. And of course your pool has to be full enough so that it's above the outlet ports so that you don't run dry. Once I'm done rinsing, I'll turn it off. You don't ever want to switch modes with it running. I'm gonna flip it over to closed and put my drain cap back on. Now with the pump off, I'll flip it over to filter and I can turn the pump back on. Now my pump is currently set at 4. That means it'll run for 4 hours. Every 24 hours, it'll automatically turn itself on and off and run for 4 hours. You can select the number of hours you want, up to 12 hours. That's a super nice feature with this pump and filter. Typically in the summer, I'll run mine between 4 to 6 hours. That seems to be enough to keep my pool clean. And as I mentioned earlier, I do highly recommend a sand filter. They just perform so much better. I'll be sure to include an Amazon link in the video description below where you can order yourself a sand filter for your above ground pool. Keep your pool clean all summer. I hope this helped you out. If so, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for some more tips and tricks. Leave a comment. Love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much and have a good day.